Hey everyone, so I'm back after a 2-week hiatus because I was in South Florida for spring break and it was so much fun. I never wanted to come back. Since I haven't posted a video in 2 weeks, I decided to make this week sort of like a double feature type thing. So everyone kept asking me about contouring videos and making contouring videos, blah blah blah, all over Facebook. And then I went to training a few weeks ago on a Wednesday for Lancome, and we had to learn and discuss stuff like strobing, baking, contouring, all of that. And some of my peers were also confused, so I was a little bit inspired to go ahead and make this sort of video. I'm gonna do this as like a 2-part series because there is so much going on with all of this crazy stuff, you know, all these crazy fads. So today's going to be a little bit more of a focus on contouring and baking, and next week I'm going to do a strobing and highlighting type thing, which is going to be my favorite video ever probably, because those who know me know I go a little crazy on the highlight. I'm going to stop talking and get into it, and so here we go. Okay, so the best way to think about contouring is just going with the natural flow of your face. But with contouring, it seems very intimidating to some people, but I promise you it's so easy. What contouring is shading in darker areas of your face and highlighting other areas of your face to kind of give your face a lot of depth. With contouring, you can also kind of go against what the natural flow of your face is, so that way you can manipulate your face, which is how some people make their cheekbones look higher, or their nose look smaller, or their lips look fuller. I know it kind of sounds confusing now, it's kind of hard to describe, but I promise we'll get through this. So my favorite way to think about highlighting is to just take a flashlight, just like I'm going to use this one on my iPhone right here, and moving all my hair back, even though it's a mess today, whatever. Hold a flashlight over your face, just like this, and wherever the light hits naturally, that's where you're going to highlight. Wherever the light doesn't hit, like down here on the sides of my forehead and down my nose, the sides of my nose, that's where you're going to contour. A little disclaimer, I have such a small chin that the light doesn't hit it, but that's also an area you might want to highlight, like in my case, to make it look like I actually have a chin. So for today's purposes, I'm going to be using this NYX contour palette. Reason why I'm using this is because out of all the contour palettes I have and that I've used in the past, this one is the cheapest one and the most effective for the price. It has, as you can see, let me open it up, 4 contour shades on the bottom right here. Then you have 2 highlights right there. Then you have a banana powder and a highlighting powder, which, as you can see, has been quite used. I think this is only like $25 at Ulta or something like that. So if you're new to contouring and you don't want to invest a lot of money, I highly recommend this palette. It does have a lot of mixed reviews that I've found. I personally love it. I think it's great, especially if you are still trying to get the hang of contouring, then I think that's great. Also, for today's purposes, I'm only going to be talking about powder contouring, because cream contouring is a whole other beast that you have to learn to tackle. But if you're interested in it, let me know and I can give you a video on that. I do have a few cream contour products that I could use, but for today we're sticking with powders. It's a lot easier to blend and it's a lot easier when you're first trying to learn. So as far as brushes go, there's a lot of different ones that you can use, and this is kind of phase 1 of where people freak out. So let me break these down step by step, what each one is used for. First of all, we have a bunch of fan brushes. These right here. So these have tons of different uses. I like to use the little skinny fan brush for, you know, like just dusting stuff off, like when I bake, you'll see that later. Also, if you get any like eyeshadow fallout or something, just use it to dust off. A lot of people like to use these little ones for highlighting, which we will get into next week with the strobing and highlighting, where you just dust it on the side, which is also the purpose for this giant one, just using it on the side. And who doesn't feel all luxurious using a giant thing like this? So that's mainly what these fan brushes are for. Also, this is another highlighting tool. It's not exactly a fan brush, it's almost more of like a stipple brush. You can see it's round, but the bristles are layered. I don't know what to call that. So that way you get a lot of product in this little white space right here, because it'll fall but be caught by the black bristles. So you get tons and tons of product inside this brush, so when you're dusting it all over, it makes your highlight like super, super potent. Also the same concept for a stipple foundation brush. But again, I digress. Other highlighting tools can be these little tapered brushes right here. They're sort of flat, but they are staggered, so it's kind of like pointed in the middle as well. I personally love using these brushes for highlighting, like illuminizing, not like for my whole face. Just because I think it can squeeze right in here and stuff like that. But these are also an option. Next we have contouring brushes, and these tend to be very flat, so that way you can really get in and carve the different points of your face. I also have a double-ended brush from Lancome, and this is like a little smaller, a little smaller one right here, which I like to use on the sides of my nose and up under my chin. And then the other side of this particular brush has a little tapered brush like the other ones, but I like to use this for blush, so I can just like squeeze it right in between the highlight and the contour. I think that covers most of brushes, and I'll show you as we go through how to use each one. So for baking, basically what you're going to do is take any sort of translucent powder or a banana powder, stuff like that, and you're going to pack it on areas where you want to really, really highlight your face. So for instance, like up here on your cheeks, maybe down the bridge of your nose, your forehead, stuff like that. You let that powder sit for a few minutes, and that's kind of where the term baking came from, because you know you have to let your face cook for a few minutes and bake and blah blah blah. I like to use a little beauty blender or something like that just to pack the powder on everywhere. You can also just use a regular powder brush, whatever works easiest for you. I'm so inarticulate today. So I'm going to take a translucent powder. The one I'm going to use today is this little Ben Nye one that I have, and I'm just going to pack it on areas where I want to highlight. I'm going to let it sit for a little while and then dust it off. So I'll show you that right now. Okay. Let's see if I can actually get my hair out of the way. So I'm just going to take some of this translucent powder, put some in my hand, and I'm going to take this beauty blender and pack it on just like this. The more the better. So these are areas that I really want to highlight. So I'm going to put them all on, and I prefer to do this before my contour. I don't really know why. I think it's just easier to contour afterwards. So you don't have to do this all over your face like I am. I'm just doing it for, I don't know, I guess teaching purposes. I've seen a lot of people just put it like on their cheeks and under their eye. I really like to do it on my chin, since since you saw earlier when I shined the flashlight. You can't see my little chin. Alright, so that seems to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit on my face for like 2 to 5 minutes, I don't know, however long I feel. And then I'm going to dust it all off afterwards. You're going to notice a huge difference. This is definitely not like an everyday sort of thing. I like to use it if I'm doing photo shoots or whatever. I mean, like if a client's doing a photo shoot, I don't do any photo shoots. Like stuff like that, or if I just have extra time in my routine, because it is kind of time consuming doing this. Normally what I do is I'll like put this baking powder on, and then I'll like do my lipstick or something, I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit, and I'm gonna come back and show you the rest of it. It's been about 7 minutes. I got on Facebook and got distracted. So I'm gonna take one of these big gigantic fan brushes, like I was saying earlier. As you can see, it is all over here, and I'm just gonna dust it off just really lightly. The nice thing about these fan brushes is that the bristles are very wispy too. That's also a big factor I failed to mention. Sorry, I'm looking in my mirror that's over here. Wow, so already you can see all right here, all down my nose, what a difference that made. Don't be like me and do this before you go to work, or by that I mean wear all black. I have to wear all black for work. So I'll like put on my clothes before I bake, and then when I dust all this off, my black clothing gets completely covered in this powder. So fair warning. Oh, oops. All right, so there it is, all dusted off, nice and close up. And you can see already these highlighted areas stand out way more than they did before. So that's what baking is all about. It's essentially extreme highlighting your face. So, moving on to contouring. Contouring, here we go. Where to begin? Ugh, my hair is being so annoying. Why do I let it get this bad? Look at, what am I doing? It's just up in a clip. Like I was saying earlier, you have these little like flat brushes, again, to help really get in and carve. Sometimes I've actually seen some recently that are like this shape. It's really strange, like the bristles go up like that so it can like hug your cheekbone. I don't know. That's a little much for me. I'm just gonna do a medium shade contour so that way you can still see it on camera. Normally I do a very, very light one, if I even do it. I honestly rarely do it anymore. So this one is the lightest shade if you get this palette. So I'm gonna use about the next one over. These, I feel like this one looks darker than this one, but this one on the end is like really orange, like practically a bronzer, so going with this one. So just super lightly getting that on my brush, dusting off the excess. I don't know if you can see. So let me scooch. I'm going to start by putting this right under my cheekbone. So you can see right there. And I'm not putting the brush like this. I'm just using this little angle to get right up under my cheekbone. Just like that, and blend it out. Another huge thing is you never want to blend your highlight and your contour together. You always want to blend away, because that's how, if you do blend them together, that's how, ooh, sorry, I'm kicking stuff. That's where you get that like big, messy looking that you don't want. So, going from there, just like that. And that's the difference between both sides. I don't know if you can tell because the lighting in here, I'm just using this big window I have. If you want to make your cheekbones look higher, you would bring your contour up a little higher, and if you want to make them look lower, bring them lower. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Also, contouring your face really changes and depends on your face shape. That's why I highly recommend using a flashlight over your face like I did earlier, because that's how you can see your own natural highlighted and contoured areas, instead of like looking at a chart and being like, oh, I have a square face, so I'm going to contour like a square faced person should, because that can kind of warp stuff and whatnot. So really go off your face, your natural bone structure, I guess, by using that highlight trick. I meant flashlight. Anyway, so doing the same on the other side, and these earrings are driving me crazy for this. Just going in. If you get into like cream contouring where you can, you know, put that all over your face and blend it out with a beauty blender, blah, blah, blah. Like if you ever see people go crazy, like bring it down and out like that, that is not something you can do with powder contour. I want to make that very clear. Trying to put those powders there on the sides of your face, I know some people drag it down so it looks like you have like this thing going on. you're just gonna smear powder all over, and that is not the way to go. Powdered contour is used for very general contouring of your face. It's not for, like I said, those itty bitty little details like that. Again, if that's something you want to see, I can do a cream contour video for you guys, but this is just like basic 101 stuff, so we're not going to get into all that. So moving on, I am going to take a contour across my whole forehead, and this is where I manipulate my own face shape a little bit because I feel like I have a really huge forehead. So I'm going to bring the contour down around the sides and just highlight this little area right here. That's going to help my forehead look a little bit smaller. And for this, I am just like using the brush just flat on my face. And making my hair look successfully frizzy in the process. Now going back to just using the very edge, just gonna dip just that little edge right there and dust right up under my lip. You know, just like that. Already you can see my face is starting to look like it has a lot more depth and dimension. Now I'm going to be switching over to this double-sided brush, which this is like one of my favorite brushes ever. It's the Lancome 25 brush. And so like I said, I'm going to be using this itty bitty end here to squeeze this contour onto my nose. For the most part, because I already have a very skinny nose, I just basically dust it on the sides. I do bring it in a little bit at the bottom there. But I mean, you see like some girls on Instagram like put it all the way here and have this like super, super tiny line of highlight. I don't really do all that. So for this, I'm actually going to use the lightest shade because I hate having, I think it's fine to use those really dark ones on the outsides of your face, but when it's going in the middle, I need very light stuff. So I'm just going to bring that in down the sides of my nose. Ugh, I can feel my nose ring like rotating. It's very weird. So see here, I'm like bringing it in on the sides of my nose and like kind of dusting the bottom. Now I need to fix this because I'm trying to look into my camera to do this instead of a mirror. It's not working out for me too well. That is how you essentially contour, you know. So I'm going to show you how to highlight now. Well, highlight as in highlighting your face, not luminizing like strobing. You'll see what I mean. Previously mentioned, this NYX palette right here, if I can open it up, that'd be great, has essentially two highlighting powders. These two right here. This banana powder is yellow to help color correct your face. So I highly recommend using this like up and under your eyes. And this one is going to be used just to highlight the rest of your entire face. You can bake and highlight. I mean, it's kind of redundant, but whatever. Again, taking this yellow shade. Oh, also I'm using this like really fat concealer brush is what it's supposed to be. And I'm just gonna tap that into where my gigantic purple circles are. Just like this. Next what I'm going to do is take that overly used highlight powder and okay, so I'm going to go, like I said earlier, since I try to make my forehead look smaller, I just do itty bitty little section like this on my forehead. And then I'm going to take that powder again, go right down the bridge of my nose very lightly. I don't know if you can see that. Take some on my chin. My itty bitty little chin. And lastly, the cheekbone and this like big highlighted area, the apple of your cheek. Isn't that what it's called? Something weird like that. I don't know. And again, be sure not to like really like dig into your face like that, because if you're wearing, well, you should be wearing foundation underneath this, and if you have concealer and all that other stuff, you're just gonna be wiping it away. So be gentle, it's your poor face. So yeah, another reason why I like using this brush is because, again, all going by the natural shape of your face. I have a really, really little face. Like, no joke, when we went skiing, I had to use a kid's helmet, and I still had to use my hair up in a big messy bun to keep it on. So I have a really strangely small head. So I have to use something this little in order to like get it everywhere. Okay, then I'm gonna be taking the other end of that brush, that double-ended brush, and just right in between the contour and the highlight, I'm gonna squeeze in some really pretty blush. It's like neutral beige color. For those of you wondering, if you care, this color is Cedar Rose by Lancome. I really like adding blush in between because it kind of diffuses the line, I guess, of like where you highlighted and where you contoured. It just kind of blends it all together nicely. So yay, you learned how to contour. Amazing and great. So I'm gonna tone down the dorkiness now just for a bit. I think the most important tips that I can give you is, one, go by the natural shape of your face. To, especially for powdered contours. Oh God, please, yeah. Number two, using a flashlight over your face is probably the easiest way to figure out where those natural contours and highlights are of your personal face, your own bone structure, all of that. Number three, don't get intimidated by it. Everyone is always so scared to do it. But it's really, really easy. It really is. And once you learn how to do it, you can do it in like, especially with like a powder contour like this, you can contour your face in like under 2 minutes. So thank you so much for watching. And like I said, part 2 will be strobing and, what did I say it'd be? Strobing and highlighting? Yes, highlighting, of course. I knew that the whole time. Next week will be strobing and highlighting, and that will kind of give you a big general overview into what all these ridiculous trends are. Thank you so much for commenting, like I said, and telling me what you guys want. That really helps me out a lot, since I'm always here like, I don't know what to do. So I love you guys so, so, so much. I will be back next week with part 2 as promised. And if this was helpful for you, please, please like the video, give it a big thumbs up, and comment, share, subscribe, all of that stuff that you hear me rant about all the time, whatever. So love you guys. Mwah! Bye.